I'm B. Griffith Cooper, Instructional Designer in the Faculty Center, and I'm here today with Amy Busey of the College of Business, and she was one of our faculty members who went through the Quality Course Framework workshop, and she did a great job with Standard 1, so I've asked her today to tell us a little bit about Standard 1 and the 7 substandards that are associated with Standard 1. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about the Standard 1 that you did an example of for us.
Yep, I did. Standard 1 is the welcome and getting started, and I called my first module is welcome and getting started. So when a student comes to the course, that's all they see is the welcome and getting started module. So they can't go anyplace else because they can't see anything else. And the course is a second course. It's a Linux course, and so at the end of this course, they're going to have to sit for a certification exam. Mm-hmm. So really setting the stage, it's a blended course. So I see the students face-to-face 5 times, and the rest is completely online. So navigation and really setting the tone that you would do on that first day in a face-to-face course is really important. And that's my goal, was for to set that standard. What are we going to be doing when we're in our face-to-face meetings, et cetera, but just really talking about the structure and where we're headed. And so making sure that first module really sets the tone for the students and how they're going to navigate and what they're going to be doing through the semester.
Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Substandard 1 first. So Substandard 1 says we're going to tell the student how to get started and where to find various course components. So tell me a little bit in detail how you do that.
Yep, the syllabus is first. So when they get into the module, there's just a list of things they can go to that hopefully are connected and they flow, through to each other. So the first one is the syllabus, the traditional what would you give them face-to-face syllabus. It has the layout for the semester, the assignments, all those normal things that a syllabus has. But I also have another tool in there, which is how to use the Ferris Connect tools. Mm-hmm. So students tell me often that I use a lot of tools compared to some instructors that only use a few of the tools within Ferris Connect. So how do I use those tools? How are they different? And probably the one tool that I use the most different than other faculty is the assignment tool.
Great.
Currently in our Ferris Connect, we have the ability to give back assignments to students. Mm-hmm. So students will turn in an assignment in the assignment tool. I'll give feedback to them. If something's not right, then I give the assignment back to them. They can fix it and then return the assignment in. So I'll say to students, have you ever turned in an assignment electronically? Oh yeah, we've done that. Well, a lot of faculty, they email the assignment into them. They don't use the assignment tool. And they certainly don't do the whole give and take with the assignment tool.
Sure.
So really trying to tell them how I use the assignment tool, and plus all the other tools that are in Ferris Connect, is very important. The other thing that's in that part about just where are we going in setting the stage is I do a learner-centered environment.
Yes.
So a whole module on what is learner-centered, how do students learn, and what I expect from them. So between the syllabus and that module, there's a whole list of student responsibilities and faculty responsibilities, so they understand my expectations for them.
Great.
And hopefully they have the same expectations of me that I have of myself, and so trying to minimize the disconnect between the two of us.
That's great. Now the Substandard 2, so it would be 1.2, is really about the course purpose and an overview. So how do you handle that in your starting module?
Again, because this is a second course in a sequence, and I typically don't teach the first course. Most of my students right now, it's a brand new program, and so most of my students are transfer students because we started it off campus before we started it on campus.
Gotcha.
So really trying to figure out where their skills are. Mm-hmm. So a whole list of, before you got to me, you should have learned these things.
Yes.
Have you learned these things? And really just a self-assessment. Yes, I have that skill, and no, I don't, but not making them prove that skill. Mm-hmm. That will come later in one of their first assignments. Let's kind of conglomerate all your prior skills and complete this assignment. But just really looking at where are your skills, excuse me, and do you have the prerequisite skills that I think you had when you came to my course is important.
Terrific. Now the next substandard is really about etiquette in the online environment. How do you handle that, and how do you tell students that that's important?
That is important. We do some discussions, and so what are some guidelines for what's appropriate conversation in the discussion, what's not appropriate, how detailed should the discussion be? You know, if you ask them review 2 other posts or something like that, and you get reviews that go, yeah, I agree. And that's all you get.
Yes.
You know, and so really trying to say what is expected. If the discussion is on something very technical and you're asking them to find solutions to something, making sure they understand that you have to include the source of their solution, so they're not just like, where'd you get that from?
Yes.
You know, so we can go out and go, oh, that's where they found their solution. So very important.
Now, Substandard 4 is really a self-introduction by you, the instructor. So how do you do that?
Yeah, and in the first time when I started the Quality Matters, my shift in thinking was just really from how do you change from a face-to-face to a blended or a completely online? And, you know, one of the suggestions was to put your picture in the course, the faculty's picture in the course, so they know what you look like. And I'm like, I don't want my picture on the course. But you really need to do that. You have to have your picture there. You have to tell the students, I introduced myself in a face-to-face class, so I need to introduce myself in the online environment also, so they can look at what are your credentials, what is your background, who are you, and why are you teaching me this course. So that is important.
Sure, and I think it's even important to give them a little bit of the fun side of the faculty, so they know you're a human being. Yeah,
yeah, and they go, oh, you're interested in that? I didn't know you were interested in that.
Yes, absolutely. And then, of course, the next standard is the students introduce themselves.
Right.
And so how do you handle that?
And those two, for me, are really combined into one. There's, in that Welcome and Getting Started, there's an assignment called Meet and Greet. And I give examples. Here are the things I want you to talk about yourself. And I give an example of a good one, and I give an example of a bad one. And then that's where I introduce myself. So I post first.
Great.
So they're not like the first one on the discussion board, because that makes them very, very nervous. So I post first, and they can see mine, they can see what I'm looking for in the post, and then they all post there as well.
Great.
And so most students really like that about each other, and I've even had students go, how come we see a name over here, you know, Sam or whatever, and he hasn't done a meet and greet yet? Yeah, I'm working on that with Sam. He needs to get out there, because they want to see who they are, because they don't see each other every day in the course either.
Exactly.
And who can they team up with, and who geographically might be close to them if they actually physically want to get together for some reason, or call each other or whatever. So
sure. Now, the next substandard is pretty important, and we don't always think about it, but what prerequisite skills and knowledge that the students need for this online course? And how do you deal with that in the online environment?
There's an assignment where they go through again and look at what are those skills that I thought they were supposed to come with to the course. And so for me, they're all technical skills. This is a technical class. It's all about administrating a Linux server. So it's not the typical English or history class where a student might not be technical. In theory, these should be very technical students. So sometimes that list includes of technical skills, like I can copy and paste and so forth. I gotta assume my students can already copy and paste, you know, by this time in their technical career. So mine is very focused on the prerequisites, technical skills that they had to come with. So for me, those two are also kind of combined. Because it's a technical course. Now, if I wasn't a technical course, then it would be a very different scenario. But they need to know what skills you thought they came with, so that they can either bone up on those skills, or decide I'm missing maybe one too many of those skills, and this course I might not be ready for this course yet.
Sure. And that really ties into the last substandard 7, which is about technical skills that students need. And so you make that clear in your course, but how might a faculty do that if their course were, say, a science course? Yeah,
a science course especially, that would be a really good one. So, you know, do you have in a chemistry course, do you have some of those, just what are the lab behaviors, and what are the vocabulary or the math skills that you might want to have? And so again, online, they're not there with you. It's maybe hard for them to get to your office for office hours, and students are very shy about and you know, asking for help to begin with. So what is it that they have prerequisite skills, and just a bullet list. Go down these and ask. And I also try in all of the modules that I have to do some kind of an assessment. So, for example, in the syllabus, they read the syllabus, hopefully, and then there's a syllabus quiz.
Okay.
And you can't see the rest of the course until you complete the syllabus quiz. So you have to get a certain score. So if there's 30 questions, you have to get like a 28. And if you don't get a 28, you don't see the rest of the course. And in our current tool, Selective Release.
Yes.
And you can do a selective release based on a student's name, based on a group that you put them in, based on a date, based on a score, based on lots of different criteria. So for me, they can't see the next module until they get a score on the syllabus quiz that lets them see that next module. Not only the learner-centered environment, I also have a module about reading and studying skills.
Great.
300 level course, and faculty have said they're juniors, maybe sophomores, but probably juniors.
Yes.
They already know how to study, and I find that they don't have some students don't have a lot of good study skills.
That's great.
So how do you read technical material? How do you read server administration material? And then how do you then digest that and talk about that and think about that?
Sure.
And so both the learner-centered and that there's an assignment when we're done.
Okay.
So I can judge, did they really read that material? What did they get out of that material? So there's always material in that beginning, but if they don't go through it all, they don't get to the open the course up. So they have to go through it. They have to answer those questions before they can actually see the content of the course. So setting that stage for me is critical. And if they only read a third of it, we're not on the same page.
Sure.
And so how do you make sure they read that here's how we're doing due dates and here's our late policy and here's our whatever? You have to ask them questions.
Sure.
And so that setting that tone and doing assessments to make sure they saw that is important.
You're really trying to set them up for success right from the beginning.
Yep. Because if they don't engage early, especially online, they're not going to engage later. So get the expectations. You need to be in here, you need to be doing these things, and you need to be doing them consistently through the semester, or success is not going to be here for you. And just making sure they understand that.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing your approach to this particular standard. I think it will be very helpful. It is a very important standard.
It is.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.